Does this work?
Just say some words.
Burrito, burrito. Burrito.
Yeah, it should be fun.
Okay. Hello, my name's Kate. I am graduating in like a week and a half from Carnegie Mellon, and I will be getting my Master of Music and Trumpet Performance. And I do have a love of burritos, and I don't think I've gone a week without buying cookies in my life. That's the fun facts.
How did you choose your instrument? What made you choose it?
I started on clarinet because it was the only instrument I could make sound out of, and I didn't want to be in choir, so that was my choice in elementary school, so I picked that. And then after a year of playing the clarinet, there was this one guy who was like super good at the trumpet, and I'm a naturally unbelievably competitive person. I strive to beat everybody and everything that I do. It's really not a great quality, but it's pushed me to do some really great things. But he was really good, and I was like, I'm gonna beat that guy. And that's when I switched to the trumpet. I took the winter break to figure out how to play it, and it took me probably about 2 weeks to get a sound out of it, but I did it, and then, yeah, and that's how I started playing the trumpet.
So were you influenced by how girly or manly the trumpet is?
No, I just wanted to beat him. He ended up being a really great mentor for me all through high school as well. He was a year older than I was, and yeah, he was just really good at playing the trumpet. He was a really good musician, and I wanted to be as good, and I wanted to be better. That's just kind of how I was, and kind of how I still am.
Have you faced any criticism because you're a girl who plays the trumpet?
Never directly phrased that way, thank goodness that we've progressed in that way. I'm sure it's happened to at least somebody, which is horrible to say, but it has not happened to me in that way specifically. Yeah, no, it hasn't. As time has gone on, I keep seeing more and more females playing the trumpet. And we also have kind of a unique thing in our world that if you think of a professional trumpet soloist, you're probably going to think of a female, and it's probably going to be Alison Balsam, Tiny Ting Helseth, which I'm so sorry if you ever watch this and I just butchered your name. I'm so sorry. And Ann Bowden, or no, Mary Bowden. Oh God, that's just embarrassing. But anyway, you're going to think of the three, and Bibi Black, which is she was the first female trumpet soloist and kind of started this whole movement. And so that's kind of an interesting fact to see the trumpet world change that way. But if you look at the orchestral world, I can't think of any off the top of my head, sadly, the principal players that play the trumpet that are female. But growing up, I did have those three women to look up to. And a lot of my male counterparts also looked up to them because they sound so good. Yeah.
You ever felt restricted from playing opportunities because you're a girl?
Not restricted, but definitely awkward. I played a mariachi gig once, and that is just kind of a weird thing to be a female brass player in because they don't make mariachi uniforms that are for females. So you end up having to look like a dude. That's just how it goes. And then this didn't happen to me, but did happen to a friend of mine who played in the drum and bugle fife group with the Army. They have a specific name. The bugle and fife, drum and fife. Is this ringing any bells to anybody? No, okay, anyway, it's supposed to be like a revolutionary band type of deal, and that is what it is. So if you look at them, they are in, man garbs, and they have the wigs. And so she had to basically look like a dude, and they had to, for lack of a better word, they strapped her tits down to her and like made her look like a guy. And they were like, sorry, we have to do this to you. But I mean, they have females, in the flute section there all the time, but it's just kind of an awkward experience doing this reenactment. But no, I haven't ever felt restricted, just sometimes awkward and more role-playing type gigs, which come up every once in a while.
How many other girls are in your studio?
None currently. During my undergrad, there was one girl who was a year older than me. No, not a year older than me. She was a senior when I was a freshman, so I had one girl in studio during my undergrad.
you have any funny stories about being a girl in the brass world?
There's other ways to teach people how to, take a big breath, but, a lot of people use the deep throating thing. Sadly, we don't have to put this on. I don't know, it's something that all of us do because it's funny. Sexualizing things is funny in its essence, which is kind of a bummer, but that's just kind of how it is, which I hate to be so nonchalant. That's just how it is about it, but it's gonna happen. I can't really think of anything specifically because I am a female that was funny. If you live a life as a musician, you're gonna have funny stories because that's just how it is. Because we spend hours and hours and hours by ourselves in a room, which develops really particular personalities. And then we all come together in ensemble and create really quite an experience. So I really wouldn't trade my decision for anything because it's led me to an interesting life. And that's all I can ask for.
Do you have any encouraging words for any young female brass players?
All right, beat them. That's just me. This kind of just goes for life in general, but if every situation offers a learning opportunity, you're doing music most likely, unless you were forced to do it and you're just in there, and if you don't like it, you don't like it. That's fine. But if you love it, then you love it. It's not for anybody else other than yourself. And it doesn't matter what they say. If it makes you happy, then screw them. They can't wreck that for you. And if they try to do that, then that's their problem. There's a problem with them. It's nothing to do with you. You have something that you love and you want to do. So keep it up. That's kind of all I can say. And don't ever be discouraged. If someone tells you you can't do something, bite them back and tell them, "F you, yeah I can, I'll figure it out." That's an attitude that I've tried to develop, and that's honestly why I kind of kept playing with the trumpet, is because someone told me it wasn't possible to make a living that way, and I was like, oh really, let me show you. And I came back after graduation saying, hey, you know how much money I've been making playing the trumpet? More than you at 7-Eleven. So, boom. So that's just, you have to do it because you love it. And if you don't love it, then that's totally fine. You've learned what this field is like, and that's just as important. Arts, patrons are just as important as the players. So I know that's probably not an exact answer to what you just said, but I moved in a different direction. But just keep with it. Once you're better than them, they have nothing to say. Just keep doing it for you. I don't know if that's actually how you dab, but it's in one fell swoop. It's not a sneeze and a thing.
Yeah.
Okay. But you got to come up. I don't know. I'm not as hip as I might seem.
Okay. Were you ever treated differently because you were a girl in brass section?
I guess it mostly happened after the fact. Like when I've had this even happen here when you're like hanging out, I've had the comment, hanging out with you is like hanging out just with one of the guys. My last name's Guy, so that does happen to be a great, you're like, well, I am one of you guys, ha ha ha. This is something I've been dealing with since I was born, but that's fine. But that comment always just kind of strikes me. I don't know particularly why. It's like, it really shouldn't matter. Like, I came in, I did my job. You didn't have any complaints about what I just did. We're just working. Why is this, weird that I came in and did my job? There really isn't a difference. We came in and did the same thing. And so that kind of awkward comment is always, it's not even awkward. It's just, it makes me feel awkward. It's like, did you want me to be a princess? And if I was a princess, was that what you were looking for? Like, I don't know. I was just myself. So maybe I appear more masculine. If whatever, I'm myself. I don't particularly care one way or the other. I don't know. That's the thing that happens the most. That just seems awkward.
What do you wish could change in the brass world for girls?
I think it's the same for just women working in general. It happens in our field as well, is that when women are in leaderships, if there were a man who was a real stickler for details and like really holding you accountable for something, then he's a good boss and he's doing his job as a leader. And if a woman does that, she's a and I never quite understand that. And if a female is like, you know, kind of soft or something, then she's being too nurturing and too mothering, and you get the eye roll. And it's not only in the brass world, it's pretty much in every field that I've been in. There's always, there'll be a female supervisor who is, you know, for lack of a better term, a hard ass, you know, next to her male counterpart who's also a hard ass, but he's doing his job well, but somehow she's this bitch. And that's just something I wish would just change in general, that we could just take good leaders as good leaders and learn from them what we can. And you know, if there's a bad leader, whether it be male or female, we can learn from them as well. Learning what not to do is just as important as what to do. Just be a good human. I really don't feel like it's that difficult. And it comes out of my mouth too, like, oh, what a bitch. I mean, it happens. It's slang of the time, and it just sucks that that's the case. But you know, just try to hold yourself accountable when you see a situation appearing in front of you that's like that, to shut it down as early as possible and be like, hey, you wouldn't say that about, you know, Dave. Why are you saying it about Leslie? You know, they're doing the same thing. So yeah, hold accountability for your leaders and hold accountability for your peers and how they treat each other and how they talk about others. That's the one thing I wish would just kind of change in general, no matter the field. And the more I can spread that word to as many people as possible is, I think, worth it.
What kind of cool things have you performed, got the opportunity to be a part of, music-wise, and what makes you fucking great?
I make a really great pasta salad. I'm just gonna throw that out there. That makes me great on an apartment dwelling note. Music-wise, music has taken me a lot of different places. It's allowed me to travel all throughout the United States. I've gotten to see tons of the states and a lot of the major cities in the US just because I play the trumpet, or the tarmpet as I like to call it. And that's probably one of my favorite things I've been doing, is just traveling and getting paid to travel, which is pretty dope if you can ever make that work. I got to go to Italy and play in an opera pit for about 3 months and got to see the entire country and got paid to do it, and I got to see Europe, which is pretty dope. Personal accomplishments, is more of this small thing. I kind of liked going back and listening to things that I've played maybe like 5 years ago or something like that, and then comparing it to something that I did now, and setting myself, you know, picking goal pieces that I've always wanted to play and then putting them on a recital and being able to execute them is probably one of my favorite accomplishments, because they happen all the time and you get to watch yourself improve. And I think that's probably my favorite thing, is just to see this, like, you're slowly chipping away at this your entire life, and to see that all of these little chips that you make every day actually, you know, do create a sculpture in a masterpiece that you've been like working at for so long, and to see that actually manifest itself into something like a full 20-minute trumpet concerto without any missed notes. And there might be a couple, but you know, who's counting? But so yeah, I had one of those moments in my the recital I gave for my master's degree in January. I played the Jolivet Concerto No. 2, which is not a very frequently performed piece in general because it's really hard, but it was a piece that I had been listening to for probably about 5 years, going, I want to play this someday, and I finally got to play it, and I felt really good about it after I performed it. Now I've got a few solid recordings of it, and I'm happy I learned it and happy that I practiced all through my undergraduate degree feverishly, because if I hadn't done that, I would not have been able to play it. it's really an amazing pasta salad. There's a special ingredient.